History tells us that advanced technology belongs to the modern world. That ancient people worked slowly, with limited tools and simple knowledge. But scattered across museums and forgotten ruins are objects that quietly challenge that idea, artifacts that appear far too advanced for the time they were created. Archaeologists spend years learning how to recognize historical patterns. They expect tools to become more refined over time, materials to improve gradually, techniques to evolve step by step across generations. Most discoveries follow this logic. But occasionally something emerges from the ground that interrupts the pattern entirely. An object that feels strangely out of place, not because it is decorative or symbolic, but because of how carefully it was made. Its symmetry suggests deliberate measurement. Its smooth surfaces imply controlled shaping rather than trial and error. According to accepted timelines, the level of planning required to produce such an object should not have existed yet. And yet, there it is, buried in soil that clearly dates it thousands of years into the past. And no record explains why it was made that way. Some ancient stone blocks appear almost impossible by modern standards. The edges are straight across long distances. The corners meet at consistent angles. The surfaces show a level of flatness that suggests careful calibration. In modern construction, this kind of precision is achieved using steel blades, powered cutting tools, and standardized measurements. Yet these stones were shaped long before such technology existed, at least according to what we currently believe. There are no surviving diagrams explaining the process. No written descriptions of the tools used. Only the stones themselves, still fitting together as tightly today as they did when they were first placed. And no known ancient tool could easily reproduce them. These stones were not simply cut and stacked. They were shaped to interlock with one another, distributing weight in ways that create natural stability. No mortar holds them together. No cement fills the gaps. Over centuries, these structures have endured harsh weather, shifting ground, and powerful earthquakes. Many remain standing while younger buildings nearby have collapsed. Modern engineers continue to analyze these constructions, attempting to understand how ancient builders achieved such resilience using only stone and gravity. Some modern reconstructions fail to match their durability. Some of the stones used in these structures weigh more than modern cranes can safely lift. Transporting them today would require reinforced roads, heavy machinery, and detailed engineering calculations. Yet ancient builders moved these blocks across uneven terrain, steep inclines, and long distances, often from quarries that lie far from the construction sites. No clear transportation routes remain. No written plans have survived. The stones themselves are the only evidence of the process that placed them there. And once positioned, they were never meant to be moved again. Stone is not the only mystery left behind by ancient civilizations. Some metal artifacts tell a similar story, one that quietly challenges our understanding of early metallurgy. These objects are not crude or experimental. Their surfaces are uniform. Their shapes are controlled. In certain cases, laboratory analysis reveals complex alloy compositions, mixtures that require precise temperature control and technical knowledge. According to accepted timelines, producing such alloys should not have been possible at the time. And yet, these objects exist. Preserved for centuries, often with minimal corrosion, as if they were made with intention, not chance. But the methods used to create them were never recorded. To better understand these artifacts, modern scientists have attempted to recreate them, using advanced tools, precision instruments, and controlled environments. The results are often unexpected. While modern replicas may appear similar at first glance, closer inspection reveals differences. The finish is rougher, the alignment slightly off, the durability reduced. In some cases, the ancient originals outperform their modern counterparts, not in complexity, but in execution. Progress, it seems, does not always guarantee superiority. These inconsistencies create a problem for historians. The results are visible, the evidence is physical, but the methods are missing. There are no detailed manuals, no step-by-step instructions. Entire processes appear to have vanished from the historical record. This absence suggests that knowledge may not always have been written down. Instead, it may have been passed from teacher to student, orally, selectively, and temporarily. When that chain was broken, the knowledge disappeared with it. In many ancient societies, specialized knowledge was closely guarded. Certain skills were taught only to select individuals, passed down through apprenticeship rather than writing. These experts may have understood materials in ways that are difficult to replicate today through experience, repetition, and observation over decades. When wars, disasters, or sudden collapses occurred, those specialists may have been lost, and with them, the techniques they carried, leaving behind objects that could no longer be explained. Some ancient civilizations did not decline slowly. Evidence suggests that several ended abruptly through earthquakes, floods, climate shifts, or events we still do not fully understand. When these societies fell, their knowledge systems collapsed with them. Libraries disappeared, workshops were abandoned. What survived were the most durable objects, stone and metal, silent remnants of skills that no longer had teachers. The knowledge was gone, but the evidence remained. As researchers compared discoveries from different regions, an unexpected pattern began to emerge. Similar construction techniques appeared in places separated by oceans and vast distances. Stone blocks shaped with comparable precision. Structures built using the same principles of balance and weight. According to conventional history, many of these cultures had no direct contact with one another. And yet, their solutions to engineering challenges looked remarkably alike. This does not suggest a single lost civilization, but it does suggest shared ways of thinking about materials, structure, and durability. Ideas may travel farther than people do. These achievements do not require supernatural explanations. What they suggest instead is systematic knowledge, repeatable methods, careful observation, and deep familiarity with natural materials. Ancient builders may have understood stone, metal, and force through experience rather than theory. Their knowledge was practical, refined through trial, error, and generations of hands-on work. In some ways, it was a different form of science, one that prioritized results over written formulas. And that kind of knowledge is easier to lose. History is often condensed to fit simple narratives. Complex processes are reduced to brief explanations. Techniques that cannot be easily described are labeled as primitive or accidental. Over time, what remains is a simplified version of the past, one that is easier to teach but less complete. When evidence challenges that simplicity, it is sometimes set aside rather than explored in depth. Not because it is false, but because it complicates the story. We often imagine progress as a straight line moving forward. But history suggests something more fragile. Knowledge can advance rapidly, stabilize, and then disappear. Skills can be mastered, refined, and then forgotten within a few generations. When societies collapse, the most advanced techniques are often the first to vanish. What survives are the results, not the process, leaving future generations to guess how it was done. The people who created these artifacts were not mythical figures. They were human beings, skilled observers of nature, patient craftsmen, and careful problem solvers. They worked within the limits of their environment, but they understood those limits deeply. What they left behind is not evidence of mystery for its own sake, but a reminder that intelligence and ingenuity have always been part of the human story, even when the methods no longer survive. Many of these artifacts have been known for decades. Some have sat quietly in museum storage rooms, cataloged but rarely studied in depth. For a long time, the focus of archaeology was discovery, not re-examination. But as modern tools improved, researchers began to look closer, measuring more carefully, comparing more widely, asking questions that were once considered unnecessary. What they found was not contradiction, but complexity. The past had more layers than we expected. These artifacts do not demand immediate answers. They invite careful observation. Who developed these techniques? How were they taught? And why did they disappear? Not every question leads to a conclusion. Some remain open, not because they are unanswerable, but because the evidence is incomplete. And history, like science, often advances by learning how to ask better questions, not by forcing final explanations. These objects do not rely on belief, they exist. They can be measured, they can be studied. Regardless of interpretation, they represent real achievements by real people. Even without complete explanations, their presence challenges simplified narratives of human development. They remind us that intelligence, experimentation, and innovation are not modern inventions. They have always been part of us. The story of humanity is not finished. New discoveries continue to reshape what we think we know. As tools improve and perspectives change, the past reveals new details, sometimes in places we thought were already understood. Each artifact adds another sentence to a story still being written. Not a story of mystery alone, but of continuity. A story we are still part of? These artifacts do not rewrite history, they expand it. They remind us that the past was not simple, and that human capability has always been shaped by curiosity, patience, and skill. What was once lost does not diminish us. It challenges us to look closer and think deeper about where we come from. Sometimes, understanding the future begins by re-examining the past. If you found this exploration meaningful, consider subscribing to continue uncovering the deeper layers of human history. Because the past still has more to tell, and we're only beginning to listen.